Pretty strong way to finish the weekend. I guess could you just kind of recap, just what you guys were able to accomplish, in getting those final 2 wins over there?
Yeah, it is a good accomplishment. When I looked at this job, big picture term, it's like, we want to get back to the top tier of the SEC, and there's a lot of great programs, and so that's easier said than done. But the only way to it is through it, and Florida is at the top of this thing, along with a couple others. So to go to that place and win a couple, especially given the circumstances, I thought was great. In terms of the short term, it's just another weekend. There's another one coming fast, and you got to reset and get ready for it. The how, I think very good mindset from our team on Saturday and Sunday in all phases, from the dugout, for the offense, his ability to attack mistakes. Defensively, played much cleaner, much better on Saturday and Sunday, and then really got great pitching. Throughout the weekend, Blake's line wasn't great, but he did some things in that game that will serve him very well going forward. And actually, I think improved, even though he gave up a couple home runs. Unsung kind of hero of the weekend, I think, was Bryce Collins for 2 reasons. Getting 3 innings out of the bullpen on Friday night, not just to save our pitching, but he kept it close enough where they had to bring Figueroa in, and then he wasn't as sharp yesterday. So that's kind of a theme in our 2 Sunday wins. Getting into the bullpen early in the weekend and getting a chance to look at a guy that's kind of unique. Carrying that into Saturday, Mikhail did a great job for 5 innings, pitched about as good as you could against that team. And then Paul, a completely different look than Mikhail, and so made it tough on them for a couple innings. It was nice to score a bunch of runs in the top of the 9th, and we rolled Trent out there for the 9th, and it was 8 pitches. It was like a warm-up. We could have brought him back in the game on Sunday. And then, Sam Dutton, I think big story, poise, first start of his career, against a top 10 team on the road with a bunch of pro players in that lineup. The first inning, bottom of the first inning, to me was the key to the game. For him to collect himself and get that third out with the bases loaded allowed us to settle into the game. So great performance by Sam, and then Grant Taylor coming in with a runner on base in the 4th, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, and then carrying it to a great outing. So really it was all phases. The engagement of the team and the energy that they put forth towards winning was a step in the direction that we need to go, and then it becomes about recommitting to it, each day. So a lot of positives, though.
I don't know you, or haven't known you very long, but I think after Friday's game was the most disappointed I've heard you be vocally. Was there a message that was sent? Did they figure it out on their own?
Yeah, internally, I think there's stuff that should stay within the team. I think I've said this. I said it before we played one game, that there was a lot of growing that needed to take place. I've said it after we were 14-3, that there was a lot of growing that needed to take place, and there's growing that needs to take place still. But I think some of that happened, and how it happened, I think kind of keep that within the team.
With what was said, just how did you like the way that they responded to
Great.
what you said?
Great. Yeah, how you would want it to be as a coach. Now, again, there's a game tomorrow night. In baseball, I'm probably more built for football than baseball, where you have 65 to 70, hopefully 70 to 72 games in a season. But the daily effort that it takes to be in the right frame of mind, that's what separates elite players, elite teams, elite programs, and we've got work to do on that. And but I think it was a step in the right direction.
You mentioned sort of taking steps in those directions and the need to continue to grow. So what are those things what are kind of those next steps that you want to see?
Yeah, I think consistency in approach, and I think it's a little bit misleading because you cannot look at our team for however many games we've played and say they're not competitive. Last weekend we lost 2 out of 3, but we're highly competitive, being we got behind, had to come back, got ourselves in position to win. Didn't on Friday and Saturday, but did on Sunday. We got down 4-0 on Wednesday and had the lead in the 9th inning, 6-4. So There's a lot of things that have transpired so far that are really positive, but you have to continue to grow in your ability to consistently bring that, especially in this league where everybody has good players. But then you really simplify it to the play, okay, controlling the baseball. And, we did for 2 days, and that helped our pitchers execute with great confidence. Didn't give up much free stuff from the mound or the field, and to play the game the way baseball is designed to be played. And then when you get this attack mode offense, we can really put pressure on people that way and then not give them anything. Like, that's the design of the whole thing. And so I think it's a good step in that. But in baseball, you never have it. You never have the game. I mean, baseball is not designed that way. So it's continually moving in the direction where you can play with consistency in doing those things. That's the next step.
Does this really say something about your pitching depth? You threw out that many guys. I think you got 17 hits the whole weekend. Obviously, a full lineup. And
Yeah.
they're looking at like 8 guys who got shelled. You're
Yeah.
looking at only a couple of little things that could have been a complete.
Yeah, I didn't know that on the hits total, actually. So that, I mean, hearing you even say that is like, makes me smile, like, internally. I was very pleased with all of it. Like I said, I mean, Blake gave up some runs, but he executed some things where if he can do that consistently, he's going to be hard to deal with, which I was really happy about. Bryce got himself into some trouble with some free passes, but has some real out pitches. He got himself out of it, and there's value in that, especially when you think of all the great offenses in the league. I thought McHale gave us exactly what we needed, and we tried to stretch him as long as we possibly could, and he did a great job. And then Paul has been, one of our most effective guys out of the bullpen. I mean, you're looking at winning that series there, and we didn't use Reiselman, we didn't use Cooper, and we didn't use Devin Fontenot. And those are 3 guys we're going to go to in leverage situations. So I think that really speaks to the job that those guys did and the depth. And that's something I felt good about the whole time. It's not perfect. Like I said, at this point, there's not that surefire first rounder on the staff that, hey, we're winning when this guy pitches. There might be eventually, somewhere in there. And I think there's some guys that can move themselves into that category. And I think they continue to take steps forward. I think it's part mental, it's part physical, it's pitchability, and I think there's some really good signs, emerging from that.
I think you talked about it a little bit on Sunday, but just what do you like about that Dutton-Taylor combo, and just kind of how much they've grown since what you said in the fall, where they were getting a little teed up a little bit?
Yeah, I've always liked the stuff on both of them. And I feel like it's starter caliber stuff. Until guys do it, it's hard to give them the rope to do that. But when they throw, you go like, there's a lot to like here. They throw strikes with their fastball and command it. They make their breaking balls go down away from the hitter's eyes, and they both have changeup that, can really, that's a lot to deal with for a hitter, and it's a lot to cover. Our guys, they hit them a little bit, you know what I mean? And this is the biggest jump in baseball those guys make from high school to high-level Division I baseball against a really good offense. But their makeup and character is really good. I mean, I'm not worried or wondering what those guys are doing. I mean, I go out to the mound for both of them and literally, look them in the eye. They gain control and then go out and get out of a tough spot. I think that speaks to how advanced they are from a mindset standpoint. And when you put that together with those pitchability things I just talked about, now you talk about having something. So it's more of faith in the person, the pitcher, to control themselves. And both those guys have that at a young age, and that's a really good sign.
What'd you like about Jordan at second and Cade at shortstop?
Well, we need to get better, controlling the ball. I think starting with Jordan at second, it's allowed him to slow the game down a little bit. And, with those 4 good left-handed hitters that Florida had, you look out and how we had to play some of the shifts, and he's deep in the outfield and how well he moves and arm strength and him being able to play under control. So I kind of like how that looks. And Cade's a ball player. He's got some of the strongest makeup on our team of anybody. And so it's we could probably put him at any position. and he could find a way to get the job done because he's a darn good player and he's tough. And so I like that. Had the one area yesterday where it was literally a fundamental thing of ball was hit hard enough. He's got to show his glove earlier. He's got enough aptitude to understand that and do it right the next time. But big backhand play to get a leadoff guy yesterday. And so that's what we're going to do for right now.
Is it, to some degree, getting away from the expected and going with what you're seeing? Whether it be the pitchers that you're trusting right now, the players in the field that you're trusting right now. I think we all had an expectation of what it might be, but then you're realizing as the games go that maybe it's not.
Good question. I mean, the best coach that they all will have in their life is playing time. And, we scout a lot, and when you watch video, you see a lot of things that you'd be surprised to see. I've never kind of bought into the subscription of this is how it should be. Sometimes you go like, well, if we get this combination right, this would lead us to the highest ceiling as a team. But every game is a playoff game. And, going on the road, you're not winning at a place like that unless you play clean baseball and complete baseball. And so you have to do what the game calls for in that moment. And so in the middle of the game Friday night, it's just like we're not continually going down like this. They're too good of players. And like I said, it's like we talked about confidence last week. It's like it doesn't matter. At some point, you have to execute the fundamentals of the position. And, it's good to see those guys do that. And they all want to win, and they all want to contribute to the winning. So it's good to see them make some adjustments. And we'll be better. We'll be a better team in April than we were now, and we'll be a better team in May and hopefully in June. So every year I do that, or every year I go through it, it's like, you want to have it opening night, but the game exposes things and you have to make adjustments, as painful as they are sometimes.
Getting hit by a pitch like that, obviously some of it's coached, some of it's taught, and then some of it's just getting unlucky or lucky, depending on how you look at it. Was that unusual for you?
We got to be in the top 5 in the country right now. I think there's a couple elements to it. So yeah, I mean, you'll take free bases any way you can get them. So they're the turnovers in football, and we've given them away on defense. I think the pitcher strike zone command has been pretty good, but we want to be in that category, really in the plus. I mean, literally, if you just have one more free base between walks, errors, hit by pitches, and stolen bases, your chances go up astronomically of winning. If you have 3, you're probably at about 90+% of winning, and if you're +5, you're going to win the game.
I know Milazzo traveled with you guys. How's he progressing, and just what did you like about what Chavinsky did, particularly those last couple of years?
Yeah, in terms of Alex, I mean, he was shuffling, he was moving around with Corey. We're getting closer. Like, there's a lot of what he's going to need to do to be able to play that he can do. There's just a small part of it where I want to get comfortable that he's at 100%. This is not an injury or a position where you can kind of bring him back, and then if he goes backwards, it's going to take longer to get him back. So we're kind of having to be more patient than I'd like to on that, but he looks great in batting practice. He was shuffling around, moving, doing some agilities. He's running. So we're close, I think, in that regard. And he really wants to get back and make a contribution. We definitely had him travel so he could do everything he needed to do with Corey. In terms of Hayden, obviously hit the 2 home runs, which was great. He's certainly a strong guy and has power. So that was a big one on yesterday. 2-run homer yesterday, and then his catching yesterday was big. When you take the nature of you have 2 freshmen pitching on the road, I thought he did a good job with those guys. He's always really engaged in the dugout. Like, even when he's not catching, he's talking to pitchers and what he's seeing. The bases loaded. I think we were up 11-2, but they had the bases loaded. We got the strike 3 because of how quality he caught the ball, and you didn't want to let that inning continue, obviously, and that was big for Grant because it allowed him to finish the game. So I thought he did a great job behind the plate. Not a good job. I thought he did a great job behind the plate.
Can you talk about how important the left-handed hitters you have in your lineup are right now? I know Joe Bear had a big weekend, Morgan as well, DiGiacomo, all those guys are really contributing for you. Just how important is it to have those left-handed
Have
batters?
to have it, yeah, and going forward. I mean, I hope we're overbalanced, with 5 in the future. It's not how this team is totally put together. That's okay, because, you got to do what you got to do. But, kind of going through them and itemizing them, I think Trey, he's hit the ball extremely hard this year in outs. I don't know what the numbers are this year versus last year at this time, but he's a way more dangerous hitter now. He's always going to be a good hitter just from the natural hand-eye special, all of that. But, 2 swings, the double he hit Wednesday against Louisiana Tech, and then the homer, obviously, on Saturday. He's hitting the ball with a lot more authority, and so that's great to see. He's always a tough at bat. Jacob, one of the best hitters in the country. Driving in a lot of runs, and even when he doesn't, just the stress it puts on the pitcher when he's at the plate. Has the best concept of what is needed from an at bat of anybody on our team, as he should. So he's obviously great. He's equal from both sides. Really had some great right-hand at bats as a switch hitter. Joe Bear, Braden, really pleased for him. When I took the job and was kind of evaluating the roster, I looked at him and said, this is a guy I think we can really get something out of. Had a good start to the season. He made an adjustment, between Wednesday and Friday, or both mentally and physically, that I think, will really help him going forward. We won the series because of him and his performance at the plate. And so that was awesome to see. He cares a lot, so I was happy to see his success. Gio's kind of a hybrid kind of player that we need in this lineup, to be a little more dynamic. There's a lot of things he can do. He's had some really good games here that have helped us open up some games. Big at bat on Wednesday night that was spoiled because we didn't get the guy in, but that 2-strike at bat to smoke one up the middle. Cade, great base running play to get to third. Got hit with a couple pitches. He's walked a lot. Had a good series against A&M just in terms of productivity and at bats. I think he fits well with the rest of the guys in the lineup, and so those guys are valuable. Allows us some balance. Makes us a little harder to match up against, where you could sense it this week. And when they went left-handed, it might work for one guy, but then Joe Bear hits the homer, and now you're stuck with right, left, right, and so it kind of neutralizes the opponent's ability to match up. So it's really important.
Do you have a pitching plan for tomorrow yet?
We do. We have the most guys available for Tuesday that we possibly could have. Jason's in there watching some film right now. There's some guys we want to get on the mound. With as taxing as the Texas A&M series was, and then Wednesday going 12 innings. It's awesome to be able to get through that series, win the series against a quality opponent, and not use those guys. So some of those guys will need to pitch. So it's just a matter of lining up the game in terms of hopefully gaining some control early, and then being able to kind of match up and do what we want. So we don't have the starter named yet, but I'm very pleased with how many guys we think we'll be able to use tomorrow. And some guys need to pitch. So.
You want to get those 3 that you mentioned not using them?
I'm sorry. We had a brief conversation this morning about it. For me, it's it's the next game. It's the playoff game, so you do everything you can to win it. But what's going to help them be the best, come the weekend also. And so it might be a different answer for each of those 3 guys, in terms of Devin, Eric, and Riley. So we'll need to see for each of them. They're going to be here at 2 o'clock today, and everybody's going to do some throwing. And, once we figure out how we're going to start the game off, we'll kind of align it that way. It might be good for 2 of them to throw, but not the other one. But those guys are obviously a big part of what we need to do to finish tough games. So whatever's in their best interest, that's what we'll do.
And you don't have them do bullpens or anything, just to get some use, like on a weekend?
It depends on the usage. Riley and Devin were up yesterday, and Eric was too. So, you don't, against that lineup, I actually had the SEC commentator, I think it's Florida's guy, say, man, could you imagine if you put your first 4 guys and their first 4 guys in the same lineup? And so when you know that that's sitting there, 11-2 might as well be 5-3 to me. So we had to have all those guys on deck. And again, going back to Hayden doing a great job behind the plate, that strike three, it was the 7th or the 8th, I can't remember now. I think it was the 7th. Like, that was a big play in that game because it allowed us to just stay with Grant and ride him out.
You're second in the country, hit by
Okay? By how many?
261.
2?
Florida Gulf Coast has 63, we have 61.
Good stat. All right, thanks, guys.
Catch up.
Did you watch the Oscars?